So, good evening, and welcome along to the big Christmas show here on NVTV. Coming up on the show tonight, we'll be meeting Les McKeown from the Bay City Rollers. We'll have Belfast's Panto Queen, McFettridge, on the show. Plus, we'll have Belfast's Godfather of Punk, Terri Hooley, will make his annual appearance. We'll have Flash Harry, and we'll have music from Brian Houston and Gemma Bradley. But starting things off, a man who's starring in a Christmas show this year, Marty Maguire. How are you?
I'm very well, Robin. A Christmas station once again.
Christmas station once again. It's back again. It was such a success the first time around, wasn't it? That you had to bring it back with a Christmas flavour this time.
Well, we did it for the 30th anniversary of the Feel on Fubble, the Festival of the People. The 30th year. During the summer, the anniversary, and it was an absolute success. It took us all by surprise. We knew we had a great story, but the feedback was unbelievable. The word of mouth, which in small theatre can be your best friend or your worst enemy, it started to spread like wildfire.
People who haven't seen the show, give us a bit of background. What's it about, and what's your character doing?
Well, it's my partner, Jo Donnelly, the wonderful actress who's my real life partner. It's her and me. We play Fra and Brady, who are caught in between hell and heaven, and we get one more chance to do a final broadcast on Triple FM to see if our ratings are good enough to either go to heaven or go to hell. That's the premise. So we said, well, what'll we do? So we start to reminisce about where the festival started and what it's become. You know, from small oaks from little acorns grow mighty oaks. And then we start to tell the story from the start. And then we are behind the microphones, which you're no stranger to yourself. Yeah. And as soon as we started to reminisce, then we pop up and we become all the other characters. So between the two of us, we play over 50 different characters throughout the 2 hours. We have a great time, and our director, Tony Devlin, has taken this, Fergal Enright and Michael Pearce have compiled a book, and we've taken like this much and scaled it down into a 2-hour piece, because if we did everything in everybody, you'd have a 12-hour play.
Of course, yes.
So, but it's been lovely that people who are related to or are mentioned in the play have come up afterwards and said, I can't believe you did my grandfather justice. My grandmother would be so proud. It's like saying to Jo, a woman who she's never met, said, you'd swear our Brady spit you out. You know, and we're going, but thank you. We're not trying to impersonate these people, just the representation of the essence of just these people that tried to do something good from you know, times were tough. And there's a lovely line in one of the darkest years of the conflict, it was like a glint of light and it was a glint of hope that, you know, on the streets, instead of rioting, instead of, you know, the bombs and the bullets and barricades and bonfires, there was a festival, music and poetry and theatre and dance and children playing on the street without hopefully fear of any harm coming to them.
I know you've done the first few shows already. It opens in the Balmoral Hotel tomorrow
night, the 18th to the 23rd, yes, and the bookings are going great. It's a great venue. This is the Brassnack Theatre Company's 4th year in a row doing the Christmas show at the Balmoral under the direction of Tony Devlin and Alison McCrudden, who's one of the main producers with the company, artistic director of the company, and so it's a great combo, and the tickets are starting to book really well, so I encourage people to come and say, have a laugh. Just let your hair down and just have a laugh, because you're guaranteed that's going to happen.
So when you finish on the 23rd, is that you off for Christmas then for a while?
We're off and then we come back again. We still have a few unconfirmed dates to fulfill, but they're booking up. So we're going to finish at the end of December, but there's already hopefully talk of there's interest from New York, because we did the show in Coal Island and we worried that would it be just a West Belfast thing or just a Belfast thing, and then we went to Coal Island and we got a standing ovation, and people said, we didn't know any of those people, we weren't familiar with the majority of the story, but we didn't care, because it's a fantastic story, this little tiny, you know, acorn to mighty oaks story, and it's very sort of life affirming. It's great to see what can be done if you put your mind to it and forget all the other nonsense and just go, look, there's fun to be had, there's creativity to be achieved here, and that's what so many people do every year for 30 years, and this is a lovely way to finish off that 30th year was having a Christmas station once again.
And the last time I saw you on stage was at the Grand Opera House in Angela's Ashes,
yes.
which was one of the big surprises for me. It was one of the best shows I think I've ever seen in the Grand Opera House.
Oh, thank you.
And hopefully, and I'm hearing whispers that it may be coming back at some stage as well.
Well, we've all kept our fingers crossed since we did it, because again, a lot of people said, Angela's Ashes, the museum, you're having a laugh, aren't you? How can you turn that book and that movie, and well, they sort of forgot about the film version. And the director, a guy called Tom Sutherland, and with Pat Moylan production company in Dublin, they came up with this beautiful concept, and the music was stunning.
Yeah.
And again, humour, and Irish finding the humour in the darkness, which the book has tons of. So they focused a lot more on that than the drudgery and the depressing stuff. And I got to play the father, who was from Toom. It was a nice one for the CV. Great company of people, and there are a few whispers that hopefully next year it'll come back. Because everywhere we played wants to have it back. It's just, with producers, they need to come up and have it financed. And again, word of mouth was fantastic that you got to go and see this if you love musical theatre, and a fantastic story, and an Irish story.
Yeah.
So.
Good stuff. Well, hopefully it does come back. And of course, the other show, They Have to Say, opens tomorrow night, the 18th of December.
A Christmas station once again at the Balmoral Hotel on Blacks Road. And if you look up the Balmoral Hotel, all the information is on their website, and you can book tickets through there.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Marty, have a great Christmas.
Robin, thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And talking about Christmas shows now, we're going to go to Panto Land at the Grand Opera House. Jack and the Beanstalk is this year's big panto. I caught it the other night, and it really is the biggest and most spectacular panto you will see in Northern Ireland this year. And I had the pleasure of catching up with Belfast's own Queen of Panto Land. Here she is. Here's May McFettridge. I'm here at the Grand Opera House for the biggest and most spectacular panto of the year, Jack and the Beanstalk, which of course stars the one and only May McFettridge. How are you, May?
I'm great, Robinson, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Now, May, I came to see the show on Tuesday night, and I have to say, what a spectacular show. You guys are all brilliant.
It was a fabulous production this year. They've put a lot of extra stuff into it, and I don't want to give anything away, but the end of Act 1 is a wee bit different, isn't it?
I've been dying to tell people about the end of Act 1, but I can't.
No, please don't tell them. It is just unbelievably spectacular.
And the other bit that I love is the tongue twisters, and I want to know how you don't end up swearing on stage.
I know, it's one of those things. It's like anything, like it's all right when you're out playing golf or whatever, but you have to remember when you're on stage, and it's just a mindset. Paddy Jenkins is very, very good at it. He's telling us, this is what you think about when you're saying that and whatever, and he talks you through it, and he's just brilliant at it, so yeah, it's just getting your head around it.
And it's a very energetic show as well, lots of slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
So do you have to go into training before you start panto?
Oh, well, as you can see, I've done all the training, but you're like yourself, Robin, being used to salad dodgers.
Now, 29 years you've been doing panto here at the Grand Opera House.
I know, the people of Ulster not suffered enough. 29 years.
And the lovely thing about every year when you do panto, it's sold out like months and months and months in advance, isn't it?
I know, and you know what I heard just the other day? There's nearly 11,000 seats sold for Beauty and the Beast. And I'm the only face on it. Who's going to be the Beast?
Who would you like to be the Beast?
Oh, no, you're not. Oh, yes. Oh, well, goodness knows. Beauty and the Beast, of course. I'd be Mrs. Potts or something like that.
Yeah.
But it'll be very exciting because we've never done Beauty and the Beast before.
Really?
No, we did Sleeping Beauty one time.
Right, it's okay.
I was for about 3 days. But I've never been that before. Yeah, I've been interested in that production.
Okay, well, May, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you, Robin.
As always, and good luck with the rest of the run. You're on until when?
We're on until the 13th of January 2019.
And they can try and get tickets, but there's not many left, is there?
Oh no, there's loads of tickets, but there was 11,000 gone, so that means you've another 64,000 seats. So get your tickets early.
Brilliant. May, have a great Christmas.
Thank you very much. So
Thank you. Now, joining us next on the Christmas special is one of Belfast's best-known singer-songwriters. It's Brian Houston. How are you, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm very well. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So what about your highlights of 2018, yeah? And what's the year had in store for you?
The highlights would be sitting in a teepee with a Mi'kmaq medicine man, doing native ceremonies and writing songs, and we helped sing over a boat that was actually made by Irish Gaelic speakers who'd come from Ireland to Canada for 7 or 8 weeks, and they built a boat called a Navogue, which is a type of fishing boat. And so they built it by hand and then launched it in Canada, and we were there singing in Mi'kmaq and Gaelic and English, so it was cool.
Brilliant. And of course, you spent quite a lot of time in America over the years. I mean, you lived there for a couple of years, didn't you?
I lived there from roughly early 2013 to late 2015, so the best part of 3 years, yeah.
And how did you find that experience?
I loved it, actually. I mean, for me, America was really, it's like a very romantic place. And from when I was a wee kid, like when the school would take you down the street, you know, to go and do library and all that stuff, I'd always borrow books on America, American history, Indians, Civil War, the War of Independence, all those different things. So for me to go there, at first few months, probably maybe the first year, like a fire hydrant was exciting. It was like, oh look, just like in Top Gun. So yeah, I really loved it.
You're obviously very proud where you come from as well, because you've said in interviews that you owe your career to the fact that you were born in Belfast.
Absolutely. I can't imagine if I'd have been born like, I don't know, some city where, like Raleigh, for instance, in North Carolina, where we lived. There's lots of creative people there, but the city itself is pretty, you know, techy. Mm-hmm. There's not much art going on. You don't realise when you're growing up here that all around you is music. Yeah. Like even as a child, like seeing the bands march down the street in the 12th, like the guy at the front had the pole and he's throwing it up and everybody's yelling. And when I was a kid growing up, that was like the first rock stars. It was like, oh, everybody loves him. I want to be like that guy. Except throwing that thing's really dangerous. What
about some of our local musicians? Would you have been a fan of the likes of Van Morrison?
I didn't grow up at a time whenever Van Morrison was popular, and it kind of, I grew up when Van Halen was popular, so I thought Van Morrison was another band. I'm embarrassed to say. And when someone said to me, you know, that Van Morrison, I sounded a bit like Van. It was after I was actually a solo artist. In the band days, no one ever said it. But once I was doing my own thing, people began to say, you sound like Van Morrison. And that's when I began to buy the records and check it out, and realised, yeah, there was a certain similarity. But then I grew up like in East Belfast. My dad went to St Donard's Church, and I grew up in East Bread Street. When I got married, I lived in Orangefield. I mean, that whole area is my area. So
years later, you go on to share a stage with people like Van Morrison, didn't you?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, when you're coming up, when you're trying to do, you know, make it, if you like. As soon as I went on the radio, I started to get phone calls from people, and I get phone calls from promoters, and get that kid that's on the radio. Yeah. And next thing I was opening for Brian Kennedy, and then you opened for. I got offered a record deal in Dublin, and so they asked me down to open for Elvis Costello. Brilliant. And now when you're starting to open for people whose records you actually bought, it's like a real buzz when you're walking on stage and standing in the hallway as you walk past. It's Elvis Costello. You go, hi. You know, it's just like, and that's like doing that.
And Chuck Berry as well. Didn't you?
Chuck Berry is. I mean, that's a weird thing. And I got accused of stealing Chuck Berry's guitar. I was actually, this is my defence, Your Honour. So I opened for Chuck Berry. It was 2007. It was in the Waterfront Hall. I did my thing and stood there watching. I'm standing there, and Chuck comes off stage with this Brown Gibson guitar on, and I put my hands on his shoulders. I said, Chuck, that was fantastic. He takes the guitar off and he hands it to me. Right? So I'm standing there with Chuck's guitar, waiting for any second some guy to come and just take it off me. Yeah. But Chuck goes on, and the band goes on, and most of the gear, nearly all the gear, apart from this guitar, even the instruments, was rented. So there was a guy there putting away the rented instruments. I said, what do I do? I got my phone and I'm, you know, I'm taking pictures of it, just waiting for somebody to come and snatch it off me. And then I said to the roadie guy, I said, what do I do with this? And he said, oh, give me it, I'll put it away. And I'm thinking, if Chuck gave me his guitar, I don't want to give it back. So, you know, you never know. So he's Belfast boy. So I said, no, it's all right, I'll take it up to the dressing room, right? Yeah. I got lost up there. I couldn't find his dressing room. And by the time I came back down, we're still with the guitar. The auditorium's empty. I walked across the stage. The roadie's gone. All the instruments are gone. So I came out with the guitar, and there's people seen Chuck Berry's guitar, and they immediately started coming up, pawing at the guitar, and the pick, it had a white triangular pick with a little picture of Chuck on it. Yeah. And so I pulled that out of the strings and stuck it in my pocket, and put the guitar under our merch desk, and because there was a tablecloth, and that meant no one touched it. And then I could feel my phone buzzing in my pocket, but we were busy selling and trying to sign CDs. And eventually I just pulled my phone out and handed it to my brother, and he answered it. And all I could hear was, guitar! And I was like, oh, it doesn't sound good. And a few minutes later, I got a tap on the shoulder, and there's the bouncer in the monkey suit. Where's the guitar? So of course it looks very suspicious. You look, this one, and so off he went, and I forgot. I genuinely kept the pick because I thought he's not going to miss a pick.
He's not going to miss a pick. No, exactly.
So all I have now is an accusation from the manager that I stole the guitar. He said to me at the end, I went up to give him a CD because he asked me to keep him one extra. He said to me at the end, when we booked you, we didn't expect to book a guitar thief. I was like, it's so bad. And I went home. All I've got is the EP with Chuck's signature and a pick, Chuck Berry's pick.
Wow,
that's it. That's my Chuck Berry.
What a great
guitar
story. Let's talk music. What are you working on at the minute?
I'm working on Gaelic music right now. I'm trying to learn a wee bit about being more Irish. I've toured over in Canada a lot, and I've been with a lot of First Nations people, and in America as well, chatting with Sioux Indians and Cree Indians, and been adopted by a Cree chief. And when you go up there in the north, there's a point where the road runs out. Yeah. Technically, I suppose it's a type of frontier. So I went there March 2017. Literally got off a plane in Montreal. An Indian chief picked me up and drove me 12 hours north, 500 miles. And it was minus 29 in March, plus wind chill. The snow was the height of a house. And I walked into these events, and these native people were singing white people's music with Cree words, but it was gospel melodies, like 50s style melodies. And then, and it struck me, like, what am I talking about? Like, here I am, an Irish person who's been influenced by American music my whole life. So that's why I came back, and I began to do research on the internet about what it was to be Irish, about Irish language, because I grew up in the Braniel estate. And so I was not encouraged to speak Irish. I wasn't encouraged to listen to Irish music. And my dad used to play stuff. My dad was a communist. My mom was from a loyalist Protestant type background. But she wasn't into all that stuff. But my dad was like into the Dubliners and Johnny McAvoy, and there would be all these songs, the Clancy Brothers, and all these albums lying around the house. And with songs like Roddy McCorley or Every Man Will Stand Behind the Man Behind the Wire, and all these songs. And I'm in the Braniel estate, it's a Protestant estate. And my ma used to go, now don't you, she'd hear me singing them around the house, and she'd go, now don't you sing them on the street. So you grew up with this kind of like putting it away thing. And but when I began to research Irish language and the beauty of Irish language, and the sadness that like the Cree people, they're grieving the loss of their culture, and part of their cultural loss is the eradication of the language. And empires do that. Empires take away music, dress, language to try to eradicate the culture. These days I'm all about discovering that, hence the hair, the beard, and the focus on learning the bar, and I'm trying to buy a lambeg drum off a guy. Because I'm all into it right now. I'm all into trying to just connect with that Gaelic thing, you know.
Excellent. You got a new album coming out in the new year?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Influenced by Hank Williams, the famous Irishman. Yeah, you know, most people don't know Hank grew up in Belfast. So yeah, when I was a kid, my dad played Hank to death, and I grew up hating it, and death by country music. But he would like indoctrinate us with that stuff. He had an old reel, and he would rewind the stuff. If we couldn't tell him what a song meant, he'd rewind it, play it again. And he did that with Chris Christopherson, he did it with John Prine. And a few months ago, before I went on the road in 2018, a guy was meant to come to my studio, and he couldn't make it. And a friend had said to me, who was going through a hard time, make us some Hank Williams songs. So over the next 3 days, I recorded these songs, and Nicky Scott came in on a Friday afternoon and recorded all the bass guitar. And each time I come back from tour, I'd put on some backing vocals or lay a little guitar break on it. So finally now, it's the end of the year, so we'll release it next year. But finally the Hank record is ready, and I think it's 10 or 12 Hank Williams classics.
Brilliant. We look forward to that. What's Christmas got in store for you?
A turkey. We always go to my brother's at Christmas, and he's threatened to not cook a turkey this year. And I think that's blasphemy.
Yeah.
So we're trying really hard to convince him to repent of his evil ways and cook that bird. For us, Christmas is always about being home, being with the family, playing Phil Spector's Christmas hits.
Still the best record,
just
isn't it?
the best Christmas record in the world. And just generally eating too much and then and drinking a wee bit of whiskey, I think.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, Brian, thank you for joining us on the show.
You're
going to do one of your own songs for us now? What are you going to do?
Absolutely. You know what? That'll be a surprise. I haven't thought yet.
All right. Well, there we go. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
So here we go with that surprise for us. Here is Brian Houston.
I've been walking these streets so long, doing right but feeling like I'm wrong, and too many cruel words have got me scared to go back home. Now there's something that's been on my mind, tried to bring it up so many times, but I need to feel assured that I'm yours and you are mine. And I've taken all that I can take, getting nothing but another bad break. I need someone by my side who keeps all the promises she makes. Give me somebody I can cry to, someone to hold me when I got the blues, who understands me in a bad mood, makes me feel good, someone to cry to. I've been beaten, baby, I've been burned. Every lesson's been a hard one learned. If every bump along the road was made of gold, I'd be a millionaire. Yeah, it's true, I get it wrong sometimes, betting dollars only winning back dimes, but I ain't afraid to take the blame or play the game every time. And I've taken all that I can take, getting nothing but another bad break. I need someone by my side who keeps all the promises she makes. Give me somebody I can cry to, someone to hold me when I got the blues, who understands me in a bad mood, makes me feel good, someone to cry to. Give me somebody I can cry to, someone to hold me when I got the blues, who understands me in a bad mood, makes me feel good, someone to cry to, someone to cry to, someone to cry to.
Now, the Queen tribute band Flash Harry have been entertaining audiences, in fact, all over the world for the past 25 years. And Flash Harry's frontman, Harry Hamilton, joins us now in the studio. Harry, how are you, sir?
Not so bad, Robin, and yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. So Flash Harry seem to be bigger than ever before at the minute. And I suppose this is probably all thanks to Bohemian Rhapsody coming out this year, isn't it?
Well, certainly the movie and Queen themselves have been very, very good at keeping their profile and their music in the public consciousness. You can see it within X Factor, you see it on television adverts. So they have been very, very good in keeping their music alive, and we've profited from that.
Yeah, so I want to know, what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a great movie. It was a wonderful thing. It was an introduction to Queen for people. It gives you a good bit of the background. There's so much. They had such a long career that they didn't go anything into too much depth. It really did bounce along very quickly. So as a fan, I'd probably like to have seen a bit more background. But it's a great movie and a wonderful soundtrack.
So how did Flash Harry begin then? What made you want to start the band?
Well, Queen, or Flash Harry, we started off really as a reaction to Freddie's death. We didn't start out as a Queen tribute band. There was nothing to do with my look or how I look. Freddie died and we decided, well, we'll do a night, we'll just do Queen music. You know, wouldn't it be great? We'll just be wall-to-wall Queen. You know, this wonderful back catalogue of songs. So we did a night in Lurgan Town Hall in about 92. And it was such a success, and we did a few more, and we thought, well, this is good. And then the whole idea of a tribute band was evolving at that time, the early 90s, so I started to dress up, and I never thought of myself as looking so much like Freddie. I still don't think I look like Freddie. I probably look less like him now as I get older, but nevertheless, even at that time, I wouldn't have thought it, but certainly when you dressed up, and it was all part of theatre, because we started playing small theatres, and that was all part of it. You had the costumes, and it was creating theatre, and creating the images and stuff of the time. So it evolved into something more and became to the point where it's maybe had about 6 costume changes in the show and became a fully fledged tribute band. And
I suppose you never imagined in 25 years you'd still be doing it.
No, we thought about 18 months. We thought about 18 months we'd be ahead of it. You know, it'd be one of those things would be, you know, a fad and people would come along. But I think it's testament to the fact that it is such great music, you know, and I know it's an overused phrase, you know, you get exactly what it says in the tin. But you come along, people enjoy a good night out. They listen to great music and they'll want to sing along, and you're there with your friends having a shared experience, which is very important, and it's still, you know, making people happy 25, 26 years on. So certainly, who would have thought, you know, but it's just a good night out, simple as that.
You've played some massive venues over the years. I'm thinking the Royal Albert Hall must have been a dream come true.
It really was. But my story from that, they have a book that people signed who've performed there, and I didn't realise until afterwards. We were in the bar, as you're in the bar, so, and the staff come up and says, no, now you've performed and now you have to sign this book. So it has all these wonderful names, as you can imagine, all these big names. Well, obviously there's several books now, you know, so having the opportunity to sign that was a real, you know, where you thought, well, that was great, that was a great thing to do. And
it must be lovely as well when real die-hard Queen fans come up and give you feedback about the show.
Yeah, certainly it is. It's good to know that they feel it. I mean, you can, it's trying to get the fine line, because I've never actually tried to recreate Freddie exactly. I never felt that I sounded enough like him or looked enough like him. So it really has always been a blend of a celebration of the music and a celebration of Queen, and we dress up because it's a wee bit of theatre and everybody's having a bit of fun. I mean, in the early years I would have maybe attempted to speak a bit like Freddie, but maybe after about the first year I just decided that it felt false. So I just decided, we'll knock that in the head and we'll scrub that, so I'll just be myself, and we're having a bit of fun here with the audience. I am dressing up as Freddie and we're all enjoying the spectacle of it all, but really you and I both know that this isn't Queen. This is just a bunch of guys celebrating the music and having fun with it.
Now, I felt it recently when I was on stage with you guys at the Grand Opera House in
that was great.
Belfast,
That was
and
wonderful.
you experience it every night. But
Yeah.
for me, to be on stage with you guys during one show,
Yeah.
the atmosphere and the reaction from the audience is just absolutely electric, isn't it?
You know, I've been at this a long time, and I don't do it full time. You know, it's a part time. So I work during the week, and at the weekends you go off and do this. And you sometimes wonder what motivates you to keep on doing it after 25 years. And really, it is just the joy of being on stage. It's like the people who maybe enjoy playing football, or people who enjoy doing amateur dramatics. They enjoy being on stage. We enjoy performing on stage and getting that reaction. And we're very fortunate that we have such a wonderful catalogue of songs to call upon.
There's some dates coming up. You seem to be busier than ever. You've got Lisburn's the first one, I think.
Lisburn, most of the stuff that we're doing in the new year is all sold out, probably on the back of the movie. Normally things would sell out as you do them,
Yeah.
but now they're selling out weeks and months in advance, probably in the back of the movie.
So you're doing the Island in Lisburn, 28th of December.
We're doing Crumlin
You're doing
Road
Crumlin
here.
Road Jail.
We're doing the Opera House. We're playing Theatre at the Mill as well, and then most of the stuff are south of the border, and they're all doing well also. So we've been very fortunate, you know, it is. But the movie has certainly seen an increased interest in Queen music.
So what's your plans for Christmas? You getting some time
Well, between
off?
now and then, try and do as little as possible. I've actually booked the time off, so no gigs between now and Christmas. So I'm looking forward just to spending time with my family. My family are growing up a bit now. They're all sort of 17 to 22, so they're still at home, but it's still time to enjoy with them. So just really doing nothing much, and then once that kicks in, there's a lot of gigs then after.
And how does your family feel about you going out and being Freddie Mercury on stage every
They've
night?
enjoyed it. They've grown up with it. You know, as I say, my eldest daughter's 22, so it's always been there. You know, I mean, obviously been teased about it when they're young at school and stuff, but as things grow up, it's great. Now they go along, they bring their friends along to it, and it's they enjoy it, and they love music. They love music. My middle daughter, Lucy, she came along and sang in a few of the concerts as well. She would go and do a number before we started. They all sing. But Lucy's just the only one who has the courage to get up and stand in front of 1,000 or 2,000 people and sing. So music's a big part of our family life.
Brilliant. Well, Harry, have a great Christmas.
Thank you, Robin.
And thank you for joining us on the Christmas
Pleasure.
show. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So, such a great song from Gemma Bradley, a young lady who you'll definitely be hearing a lot more about next year. In fact, you know what? We'll have her on the big music show when it returns in January. Now, a few weeks back, I had the pleasure of spending the day at Stormont for nothing political, but I was invited along to host the Diana Awards, and my co-host on the day joins me now in the studio, Dervla Dolan. How are you?
I'm great, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Great. So we had a lovely day at Stormont, didn't we, hosting the Diana Awards. For people who don't know, what are the Diana Awards?
Well, the Diana Awards is a foundation set up really to honour Princess Diana's legacy. So their work is really based within the UK, but the Northern Irish versions were the awards that we were at, and it's really just rewarding the power of young people who have done amazing things within their communities, and it's really just recognising them, young carers, just different people who are doing small things that will slowly make a difference in this world, just like Princess Diana wanted.
Now, you got involved in the awards back in 2017. You were the Diana Legacy Award winner for that year, weren't you?
Yes.
So what exactly is a Legacy Award? What happens?
Well, the Legacy Award was really a one-off award that was created to honour 20 years since Princess Diana's death in 2017. So this meant that there were 20 legacy awards created for 20 young people across the entire globe. So I was nominated by my school, Loretto Grammar School in Omagh, for one of the awards, and I was chosen from thousands of young people across the world to receive one of these awards. So it truly was an amazing experience, and I met the most inspirational people who really are changing the world in their own way.
And of course, your background as well, you founded the Enda Dolan Foundation as well, which was set up in memory of your brother, who was sadly killed in a tragic road accident, wasn't he?
Yes, my family and I set up the Enda Dolan Foundation after my brother's tragic death in 2014. Really what we do is we really just, like the Diana Award, we want to keep his memory and his legacy alive, because he really was an amazing person and we all miss him so much. So we decided that we wanted to take some of his talents and try to bring them into our community to improve the lives of other people. So my brother Enda was a really talented musician and athlete, so we decided to create a run called the Run for Enda, which occurs in Omagh every year and attracts thousands of participants across the whole of Northern Ireland. And as well as that, in conjunction with that, we have established numerous Couch to 5K and Couch to Half Marathon running programmes.
You've been doing them yourself, haven't
you?
Yes,
I've actually ran 3 half marathons in memory of my brother now, and what we do really is on a weekly basis, we take people from our community and we coach them just every, say, Tuesday night, and we build up their stamina and their ability, and eventually they're able to run the race after a 6-week period, and it really just improves their physical and mental health, and it just has really been amazing, and we've had such great support from our community, so it's been great.
So looking ahead to next year, are there any big events you have coming up to raise money that we should know about?
Yeah, well, we'll have our annual Run for Enda, which occurs around March, April time every year. So that's always an amazing event. We have loads of Run for Enda merchandise that we sell, and we really just encourage people to get out there and enjoy themselves and just be active. But as well as the run, we have a workshop called the Red Balloon Guitar Workshop, which we established again 3 years ago because Enda was such a talented guitarist. So we take maybe 60 young people from our community, and over a weekly period, and with the help of some amazing volunteers, just such talented musicians, the children come in and pick up a guitar and learn songwriting, different things that Enda would have loved, just to really keep his spirit alive throughout our community. And
of course, it must be a busy job getting all the things together, and of course you couldn't do it without the support of volunteers, could you?
Oh, definitely. My parents are amazing, and the support we've had within our community over the past few years has been outstanding. We have volunteers giving up their time to coach runners on rainy, snowy evenings, and we have amazing musicians who come in and help us, and without the support of our family and friends, our initiatives just would not be possible.
So if people want to find out more information about your foundation, how do they do that?
they could go on to Facebook and search for the Enda Dolan Foundation, or else the Run for Enda, where we update it on a daily basis, telling people about the events that are coming up within our community and what they could really do to help us, because all we want to do is help others.
Have you got much time off over Christmas?
Yeah, our initiatives still continue, but it's nice to just have some time off to spend with my family and my friends, because we do have a busy year, so it's nice for us all just to get together and remember the important things in life.
And I believe as well, nominations are open for next year's Diana Awards, and of course we're encouraging people from Northern Ireland to get involved this time round, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I'm actually only one of two Northern Irish people who won the Diana Legacy Award, so I think it's really important to get the word out about the Diana Award, and because in Northern Ireland we have such amazing young people, and I just don't think that we recognise them enough. They should be rewarded for everything that they're doing to help their communities. So yeah, I would really like to encourage anyone, if you know a young person who is going over and beyond what they need to, then to nominate them for the Diana Award, because it's really an amazing initiative.
And in fact, some of the young people that we met that day in Stormont actually were talking more sense than some of our government ministers, weren't they?
Exactly, exactly.
So they should get involved. Dervla, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So if you want some more information on the Diana Awards, or indeed you would like to nominate somebody for next year's award, check out the website, which is www.diana-award.org.uk. Right, we're moving on to our next guest now. We're going to take you way back in time and see, does anybody remember a time when the world was covered in tartan? Yeah, you know what we're talking about. The Bay City Rollers. They were back in Belfast recently, and I caught up with their frontman, Les McKeown, at the Ulster Hall. Here's what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know it's Christmas in Belfast, or nearly Christmas in Belfast, when the Bay City Rollers are in town, and Les joins me now. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you for coming around and looking at my Christmas tree that I've been preparing for you.
Only one thing we should have done, we should have found some tartan decorations to put on it, shouldn't we?
I thought I'd just leave it out and just wear the tartan top, just like I did back in the 70s.
So where did the whole tartan thing come from? Who came up with the idea of wearing tartan?
Well, you know, my dad's from Northern Ireland. He was from Ballymena. My mum was from Banbridge, County Down. They met in Belfast in one of those workshops, and eventually got married, went to Edinburgh. Years later, my dad would be the tailor who made the first Bay City Roller costume.
Wow. And when people come to see the gigs now as well, are they still bringing the tartan scarves and still wearing the tartan?
Yeah, some people are even doing the full whack. They're coming with the short trousers on and, you know, everything that we used to wear back in the day.
Wow. And it seems, looking at your tour dates at the minute, you seem as busy now as you probably were back in the 70s. It seems to be non-stop.
Probably busier. But the good thing about it is I'm getting paid this time.
And I see you're still big in countries like Japan.
Yeah, we toured Japan for 3 weeks in February. We're still doing 6-7 weeks in Australia every year. We do about 4 or 5 months touring in the UK, and that includes Ireland. So yeah, we're taking the band to Slovakia in the summertime, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden want us up there, Holland, you know, you name it, they all want us. Maybe before the Brexit, they want us.
Yes, yeah.
Oh no, that'll be after it, won't it?
I wanted to ask you as well about your fellow bandmate, Alan Longmuir. He sadly passed away this year, didn't he?
Yeah, I did. It was unfortunate about that. Alan went to Mexico to chill out and caught a really bad virus. Ended up, they flew him back in the Medi jet back to Stirling near his home in Bannockburn, and he just never recovered. I went up there with my wife, and we spent the last few days with Derek, his brother, Eileen, his wife, me and my wife, Becco. So it was really bad. But he's gone now, so we pay tribute to Alan every night and sing his first hit with the Bay City Rollers, Keep On Dancing. The audience loves it.
Yeah. Do you ever think you'll ever record any new material?
I have recorded new material. Anyone who cares to could go into iTunes. They could look for Les McKeown, if you can remember how to spell my name. Of course you will, because I'm in Ireland. So, and the album was called The Lost Songs, or Lost Songs. And that's songs that I recorded or wrote back in 1974, 75. And now we've got a chance to record them with a producer from Scotland called John McLaughlin and his partner, Judd. So we kept that vibe, that basic roller vibe, because what was on the little demo tapes was that shang-a-lang type beat, you know. So everything's not a copy of Shang-a-lang, but it's got that flavour about it with a bit of edgy guitars and stuff, but also lots of harmonies. And of course the lyrics are quite kind of teeny, if you know what I mean. So I didn't change them much.
So as we approach Christmas, what's your plans?
It's Christmas time, mistletoe and wine. Yeah, I'm not a big Christmas guy. I like playing at Christmas, but we don't have any venues to play at this time around. All the guys have got other things they want to do in the band. I was looking for something to do, and then I thought, why don't I just chill out?
Exactly, yeah.
And then now I'm thinking, what does that mean?
And looking ahead to next year, more touring?
I've got, like I said, almost 3 weeks in Japan at the beginning of February. So I've got, after this, they've got the 9th to go home. Then I got a couple of dentist appointments, and then that's it till February the 1st. Off to Japan, come back. We've got a couple of German shows and stuff, just a couple of odd shows. Then we're off to Australia. We've got Canada coming online as well. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Liz.
But of course, I'll be back to Ireland.
Of course. It seems like every Christmas you're coming back, every December, aren't you?
No, it's a big Christmas present for me. Come back to Ireland. I could wrap Ireland up in a big Christmas wrapper.
Les, it's been great talking to you.
It's great to see you again. You're looking well.
Thank you. So are you.
It's great to bring your mic and your cameraman along and give everybody a chance to say hello. Hello.
Right, time now to meet our final guest on the Christmas show this year. And do you know what? It wouldn't be Christmas without this guy. Terri Hooley, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Robin. I always know when it's time to get the tree down from the loft when I come in to do your Christmas show. This is becoming an annual event.
It is. 3 years in a row you've done it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time just flies, doesn't it?
4 years ago I was in hospital at this time.
You were, exactly, yes.
Dying.
Yeah, but you survived.
I survived.
And you've got a big birthday coming up, I believe.
70th. I can't believe it, because in the 60s the doctors told me if I didn't stop partying and started to behave, that I would never live to see 30.
Yeah.
And it told me I'd never live to see 40. And it told me I'd never live to see 50. And at 50 I decided to have another child and not listen to him.
You seem to have been as busy as ever this year, and I see you've been DJing not just here, but DJing all over the world. You've been flying all over the place,
I
haven't you?
can't fly like I used to.
Yeah.
But I did get to do DJ in the Paradiso just recently in Amsterdam.
Wow.
Which is a very famous rock venue that I had never been to. Although I have CDs that were recorded there and stuff, and I have friends who fly over to gigs there all the time. And they invited me to go over and do DJ in Amsterdam and do some podcasts and stuff. And then they found out that the Undertones were going to be playing the Paradiso, so I got in touch with the Paradiso. I went out and had a great night.
Brilliant.
Mind, the audience just looked at me and went, who's this old guy bouncing about the stage to punk numbers? But I had a great time. And but it was bizarre, because Claire and I got off at the airport, and then there's these guys filming us walking through the airport in the taxi, going to a place like this where I did a podcast. It was all pretty bizarre.
So where's the weirdest place you've ever played? Because you played Russia as well, didn't you?
Well, this time, Russia was fantastic.
Yeah.
They built I got barred from Russia, so it did, because I inspired punks and gay people, apparently. But I behaved myself. They built a bar for a week called the Hooligan, after my book, and they only sold Guinness and Irish whiskey, and it suited me fine. And it was fantastic, so it was. And I did DJ in it, and it was brilliant. It was the best time of my life.
Brilliant.
And I didn't want to come back to Belfast. But I was at a party in the Irish Embassy for St. Patrick's Day, and Putin's thugs told me that I never need apply for a visa again, because I inspired people.
Right, so you're not going
the
back
wrong
to
kind of people.
Okay.
So, but I had the best time. I didn't want to come back to Belfast. It was the first time I'd ever been away, and I didn't really want to come back to Belfast.
Wow.
So,
Now, I suppose when you're DJing in the run up to Christmas, one of the songs you have to play for the punters is the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl.
no, I'd rather be, although Shane McGowan, I did bring him over for his first gig ever in Ireland. Shane and I are old friends. No, Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love is my all-time favourite record, and has been since the 60s. I hate the way Christmas starts earlier and earlier. And like, is it 6 weeks ago, they had a channel on TV just playing Christmas movies all day.
And bad Christmas movies.
Yes,
when you think of Christmas movies, you want to see It's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life,
you want to see Home Alone.
Yes.
You want to see Die Hard.
The other day I was watching a movie, Geordie, which in January one year, I was going along, playing out in the entry, and there was people were throwing their Christmas trees out after Christmas, and there was a silver sixpence stuck on a bit of sellotape, and I was 7 years of age, and I asked my mum, could I go to the Strand Picture House to see a film? I said, certainly, son. And I went and seen Geordie, and then I watched it the other day. And no, funny how your memory plays tricks. I always thought it was in black and white. So, in my memory, but it was actually in colour.
Yeah. Right, we've got to talk about the biggest theatre production of the year. I'm probably the only person in the country who hasn't seen it, but Good Vibrations at the Lyric.
You couldn't get a ticket for Love No Money.
I couldn't get a ticket. Can you believe that? Nobody got a ticket for it.
I had to buy tickets for friends coming over from Europe and all. So I had at the beginning.
Yeah.
And normally my guest list, they say there's two things from outer space you can see. It's Terri Hooley's guest list and the Great Wall of China. But there wasn't a big guest list for this. But
so how much input did you have into the theatre show?
Not a lot. Went along and talked to them, went out drinking with the cast, got on okay.
Yeah.
They're great people.
Yeah.
I'd met Des Kennedy, the producer was over. He came over twice from New York because he was in charge of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which they won a Tony Award. And Des had cancelled twice, and I thought all these theatre people live in La La Land. So I thought, well, we'll try this again, and third strikes, and then I just can't be bothered to meet him. And we went along, we had lunch, and he put up, I thought we got on fairly well. He put up on Facebook that he had never laughed at as much as my silly stories about my ridiculous life, and his jaw was hurting. So I knew that we got on pretty well. And then I went along he brought some of the cast over to the house one night, and I met Kerry Quinn, who I quite liked.
Who nearly played your wife in it, but then she went on to do Corrie.
But then she got offered Coronation Street with a lot of money. And I went, yeah, take it. Don't be turning it down. But then Niamh Perry was absolutely brilliant. And I met Aaron, and he over at the house, and he was great. He said he couldn't get a word in.
How do you think he did playing you?
I thought he did brilliantly. I did say to him, don't be trying to copy Richard Dormer like in the film, and don't have a beard. And Aaron was brilliant. Yeah. Everybody in the cast was brilliant. Normally I'm used to working with bands, and there's always one person in the band who spoils it for everybody else. But there was nobody in that cast that I didn't love, and it was brilliant. And they all enjoyed it, and it was such a success. And there's talk of it coming to Dublin next August, and also back again in the Lyric in September.
Brilliant, good stuff.
And maybe travelling other places. And Claire said to Des, did you know that it was going to be a hit? He says, I did.
Yeah.
And I wish they had told me, because I was... The first time, I went to see it 3 times. The first time I cried all the way through it. Second time I cried and I laughed. And the third time I just really enjoyed it.
Good stuff. Well, it seems that the Good Vibrations will go on forever and ever and ever.
It seems to be. I thought when we were doing all those things 40 years ago that nobody had ever remembered anything that we did. But there's still a fanatical following for Good Vibrations. I mean, and that's the one thing that I was worried about the punks, how they would see it as a play. But they loved it, because they're very precious about the history of what happened at that time. Some of them a lot more precious than I would be. But a lot of them had never been to theatre before. And it opened a whole new world to them.
Good stuff. Well, Terri, we're out of time already.
Just, that was quick.
That was quick, wasn't it? So thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks again for asking me, Robin.
Have yourself a great Christmas and a happy birthday as well.
Right, thank you very much.
And we're going to finish the show now with Brian Houston, who's waiting in the wings. So we'll introduce Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and thank you for watching all of the shows throughout 2018. We'll see you next year. I'm going to leave you once again with Brian Houston. See you soon.
Well, if you met her today, you might not recognize her from the way that she walks. If you look back on her life, she's been shaped, she's been changed from the child she used to be. She's a better woman now, and she got that from me. From the way that she walks to the way she cuts her hair, from the jokes that she cracks to the clothes she likes to wear. If you look in her eyes, son, that confidence you see, it wasn't there the day I met her. No, she got that from me. She can steal your breath away when she walks through the door, or plant a kiss upon your lips that'll leave you wanting more. And she can make you feel a fool, and she will show no regret. Do you know what I'm saying, son? 'Cause I'm not finished yet. Don't underestimate this woman. You don't have to tell her twice, 'cause she picks up on every detail. She's as sharp as a knife. Well, she learns from every lesson. There's no mistake she will repeat, 'cause she's nobody's fool, and she got that from me. And she can steal your breath away when she walks through the door, or plant a kiss upon your lips that's gonna leave you wanting more. And she can make you feel a fool, and she will show no regret. Do you know what I'm saying, son? 'Cause I'm not finished yet. See, I taught her how to cry, to play games with your mind. And I taught her how to lie, how to be mean and unkind. And I showed her ways to wound you, to bring you down upon your knees. 'Cause when it comes to breaking hearts, son, she got that from me. Yeah, when it comes to breaking hearts, son, she got that from me. When it comes to breaking hearts, son, she got that from me.